Thank you, mice. Oh my gosh. Now, before the offering, I want to say a couple words about Frederick. I love this book because I think it's an allegory for church. What do we do in our dark days when we've lost hope, when we've lost sight of the colors? When I was a hospital chaplain, I mostly served Christian patients and their families. Sometimes they were evangelical Christians or fundamentalist Christians who'd been in a car accident far away and helicoptered in from as far away as Idaho. And for them, in times when there was not much hope, the answer was reflexive. I have faith in Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And if the worst should happen, if I should die, I know that I'll go home and be with my family. I'll sit at Jesus' right side. I'll be with God. I'll be with the Father in heaven. And although that was not my theology, I saw what great comfort it brought to them. The assurance. Do Unitarian Universalists have such an assurance? Some of us believe we go to Mother Earth, but do we have an assurance of redemption in our darkest hours? It can be really tough to be a Unitarian Universalist in those long, dark nights of the soul, when you're up late at night and you can't sleep, and you're laying in bed wondering, will my family be okay? Will I be okay? What if I lost my job? How would I make ends meet? What if I get sick? What if I fall? What if my children never call me again? What if, what if, what if? We don't have that same kind of assurance. Not reflexively. In some ways, it's a difficult faith to have, being a Unitarian Universalist. You have to work when you're a Unitarian Universalist. I've often said that you are all on your own recognizance when it comes to your spiritual growth and development. There's no guarantee that being a Unitarian Universalist means you'll be free from worry. Rather, I expect that you will worry. It's a very human activity. And that, like the mice, gathering the wheat, the berries, and the corn, throughout your spiritual journey, you will have collected tools in your spiritual toolbox, not for the best of your days, but for the darkest of your days. One of my favorite chalice lightings in the back of the gray hymnal is the one by Albert Schweitzer that says, "At times the flame in each of us goes out." And do you remember, we use this one often. Do you remember what the end of the reading says? After the light in each of us goes out, how is it rekindled? By another. At times, the light in each of us goes out and must be rekindled by another. Modern society is so isolating. We live in a consumerist society where, for many people, the best social interaction we might get of a day is going to Target and buying something and having a cheerful little talk with the cashier. Church is one of the few places where you don't have to buy your way into, although you should support your faith community in the offering as best you can. I feel like a hypocrite sometimes with this double message. But when you give to the offering, it's not like buying paper towels at Target. This is your house. This is your house. Your house. I hope that as many of you as possible have taken the accessibility survey recently. And some dear member of the committee, I was walking down the hall, said, "Sarah, have you taken the survey?" And I said, no, I can't. They said, "Why?" I said, "This is not my church. I love you dearly with all my heart, and I serve this church. But this is your church. This is your house. It's up to you to take the surveys, to bring the snacks on Sunday morning, to put what you can in the offering, to tithe every year, to keep the lights on in your house, to keep the ears on the mice, and the RE office stocked with felt. And in that way, although we contribute to our church, it's not a consumeristic interaction. It's not transactional of a relationship. And so when the light in each of us goes out, where do we go for it to be rekindled? Hopefully here. Hopefully here and elsewhere. Hopefully what you learn about community in your church, in this place, you're able to take elsewhere. You are able to share with the cashier at Target, with the people you meet on the street who have not been treated with dignity before, who are subject daily to the indignities of not being able to buy their way into a transactional society. What we learn here about relationship, about rekindling the spirit in each of us, rekindling the spirit in those around us, we take with us for our darkest nights. And remember, we do not have to be alone. When these social events come up at church, I encourage as many people as possible to attend, like our gala, our auction and gala coming up in January, because so often we meet our friends at church over the table in the library, at our meetings when we're figuring out how to get things done, or for a brief conversation at coffee hour. But it's desperately important, especially in these dark months, that we play together, that we laugh together. I heard a quote that at any given time, 1/3 of people are in active grief. And grief takes many forms. We lose our loved ones, or our loved ones become sick. We lose our jobs. We lose our hope. At any given time, one of the two people sitting on either side of you has a hole in their heart that they might not know how to fill. It is desperately important that we come together, bake cookies, laugh, dress up, act silly, sometimes dance, sing songs, when all else is lost. I love that in the middle of the pageant, the mice got together to sing a sad song about December. I wonder sometimes if the hymnal is too full of cheerful songs, because some of the ones that touch my heart the most are the lamentations, the sadnesses. Why does it feel so good to stand around with other people singing sad things? Haven't all of us cranked up the car radio when Dust in the Wind comes on and had a private little tear? Even in our sorrow and grief, we come to church, sing together, and be together, rekindle the flame in each of us. Frederick is not a traditional Christmas pageant, although Christmas, even for non-Christians, I think, can be an occasion for great hope and uplifting at a sad and dreary time, perhaps nowhere more sad and dreary than the Pacific Northwest. Where, to my horror, when I moved here in 2016, I discovered that the light is literally 1 hour shorter per day than my home state of New Jersey, because we're so much further north. I felt scammed. And Christmas became for me so much more important, even though I'm not a Christian. The twinkling lights, the smell of pine boughs, hanging ornaments, candy canes. Is it all artifice? Does it matter if it is? Can't we be kind and joyous to ourselves and each other? And so we didn't do a traditional Christmas pageant, but it was, like the story of Christmas, a story of a little community finding joy and hope in the dark days. How do you, as a Unitarian Universalist, draw on your faith? Draw on your faith in dark days. Explicitly, your religious faith. We have a set of principles, but maybe they're not so easy as the 10 Commandments to draw up on command. Raise your hand if you think that you could recite right now the 7 principles. I think Eileen could. It's okay. You don't have to. We are a non-creedal faith. At no point will you be called upon to stand and deliver your statement of belief. But we will listen respectfully if you'd like to share at coffee hour. The point again is we don't have those reflexive sayings, but we do have a faith. Like the mice gathering the wheat and corn, you have stored not just spiritual gifts and tools for your toolbox, you have stored up as many Sundays as you have come to this place, as many hugs as you have gathered in the hallways, kind smiles, a cookie shared, a cup of coffee made for you by our coffee team. You have gathered those Sundays. At my home church, sometimes I would find the sermon so terribly boring. I would wonder why had I dragged myself out of bed on a Sunday, a hard-earned Sunday, to come here, and then it would be at coffee hour on those Sundays. Someone would rekindle that light inside of me once again. And in me began to grow a faith I didn't know I could have. A faith in other people, and faith is not an assurance of what will come. That's just knowledge. A faith that somewhere, somehow, when I least expected it, someone in my community would lift me up again. The knowledge that they would sometimes disappoint me, but the faith that my disappointment would not last, and like the solstice would turn back to brighter light. Dear ones, you bring the light back together by coming again and again to this place, to this room, and being with one another. Let us pause now for a few moments of quiet meditation or contemplation. Amen, and blessed be.